This session is part of a webinar series which aims to assist researchers, librarians, and institutions in the adoption of digital tools and persistent identifiers for a significant increase of research discoverability globally and to increase efficiency in scholarly workflows.
So welcome to our webinar series on open science for the discoverability of African research. My name is Ebuka Ezike, Project Manager at Africa Archive, and I'll be your moderator for this session. So in case you're just hearing about Africa Archive is a digital archive for African research communication. By enhancing the visibility of African research, we enable discoverability and collaboration opportunities for African scientists on the continent, as well as globally. So during the course of this webinar session, we'll be taking you through first, introduction of our guests, and then after that, we'll have like around 20 to 30 minutes of presentation by our guests. And then immediately after that, we'll go into our Q&A session, where we'll have members of the audience, unmute their mic and ask whatever question they have surrounding the topic of discussion. Or you can also type your question in the Q&A section of this meeting. And then as the moderator, I'll be asking some more questions if time permits us. So today we welcome our speaker, Bénédicte Kuntziger, who is the support, trainer, and community engagement lead at HAL. She will be speaking on the topic. HAL, the French National Open Archive within the global open science ecosystem, an African perspective. Before we listen to what she has for us today, here is a little about her. So Bénédicte Kuntziger has been a documentation engineer at CNRS for over 30 years. She first worked in research laboratories before moving to a research library, specializing in archaeology. Since 2013, she has been involved in open science with a particular expertise in open access to publications. At CCSD, that is the Center for Direct Scientific Communication, she leads the support training and community engagement team for HAL, that is the French National Open Access Archive. So once again, thank you all for joining us today. And now over to our speaker, Bénédicte Kuntziger. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. Good morning for me, I don't know for you. So I'm Bénédicte Kuntziger. I work at CCSD, the Center for Direct Scientific Communications from CNRS, the National Center for Scientific Research in France. So I'm very pleased to be here to talk about open science and about HAL, the French National Open Archive. Here is the outline of my presentation. So first I will present the CCSD and the HAL Plus open research infrastructure, explaining its key role in research in France. Then I will talk about HAL, the French National Open Archive, sharing key figures and the main trends that have shaped its development. And I will detail the key factors that have driven its expansion. Next, I will highlight the main functionalities of HAL with a focus on multilingualism and how HAL supports research in Africa. I will conclude by discussing the importance of HAL as a comprehensive platform supporting the full research life cycle, with particular emphasis on relationships between publications and research data. So the Center for Direct Scientific Communication was created in 2000 by a physicist, and it's a joint unit with three supervisory bodies, CNRS, INRIA, and INRAE, from French research organizations. And this organization ensures strong institutional backing, and CCSD benefits from strong support from the French Ministry for Higher Education and Research. It operates under a shared governance model, working closely with HAL partners to promote open access and scientific dissemination. Its sustainable funding model guarantees the long-term stability of its activities. Then to ensure secure data storage and long-term preservation, the CCSD collaborates with 2 national computing centers for backup and archiving. And then the center has a dedicated team working with HAL. So CCSD serves the scientific and academic communities, and its mission is to facilitate all forms of direct scientific communication and to give a greater visibility to French research outputs by dissemination through open and long-term access to publications. In order to achieve its mission, the CCSD has created and develops the HAL Plus research infrastructure included in the French National Research Infrastructure Roadmap. HAL Plus is based on free service platform, so HAL, the French National Open Repository for Publications, which is certified by the Core Trust Seal, Epicience, a diamond model publishing platform, and I think Raphaël Tournois from CCSD has already presented Epicience here, and ScienceConf, a platform which provides tools for organizing scientific events. So these free platforms allow researchers and their institutions to make their results visible, discoverable, usable, and accessible in the long term, and thus to take control of the overall scientific results process. So let me give you some key figures about HAL. So first, HAL is a multidisciplinary and multilingual archive. As you can see there, all disciplines are represented in HAL, including humanities and social sciences for 25%. 70% of publications in HAL are in English, then 26% in French. So these 2 languages account for the vast majority of submissions, although we accept all languages. Published and unpublished documents as preprints are well accepted in HAL. So journal articles represent more than 50% of the deposits, but as you can see, conference papers are also well represented at 14%, and PhD theses account for 8% of all submissions. Today, HAL contains more than 1,440,000 full-text documents and almost 4 million of bibliographic references without full text. And in 2024, more than 167,000 full-text documents were deposited in the archive. And the number of submissions in HAL has increased by 110% over the past 6 years. Here are the consultation events of HAL in 2024. So as you can see, over 227 million of consultations were recorded. And we can see that despite HAL is the French National Open Archive, HAL provides worldwide dissemination of scientific literature. We can also see here that consultations from African countries are very low because they don't appear. What key factors in our context could explain the growth of HAL? So first, the 2 French national plans for open science have enabled the implementation of an ambitious and strong open science policy in France. With the objective of generalizing open access to publications, they have provided strong support for HAL, identified as the National Open Archive in these plans. At the same time, French research organizations, particularly the CNRS and universities, all universities now, have also stated a strong policy in favor of open science and especially in support of open access to publications and the Open Archive HAL. This convergence of open access national and institutional policies has strongly reinforced the role of HAL as a national open archive and its adoption by a broader community. Moreover, some organizations have implemented incentives to deposit in HAL, the CNRS, for example. So CNRS researchers are required to submit their publications to HAL as part of their annual activity report. It's mandatory. HAL also benefits from a global context with a French law for a digital republic and the open access mandate for publications imposed by European Research and Innovation Funding Programme, as well as by the French National Research Agency, the major French research funder. The French law for a digital republic states that a researcher has the right to deposit the final version of the article before publication or the author accepted manuscript in an open archive. And the publisher may request on a maximum embargo period of 6 or 12 months, depending on the discipline. Moreover, Coalition S, a coalition of funders with European Commission, as well as the right retention strategy, asking researchers to retain their rights on their manuscripts and asking to deposit the versions of a manuscript with a free license in an open archive until the author accepted manuscript and without any embargo. And finally, for us, the French National Research Agency, ANR, the major also French funder for research, asks to deposit in HAL with a mention of a grant reference in order to monitor the research they fund. Here is the homepage of a HAL Open Repository, which immediately offers the possibility to deposit a publication in HAL and to search through the archive. HAL allows the deposit of research-level publications only. It's important to understand that. So master's theses, for example, are not allowed in HAL, although it's possible to deposit it in HAL portals. So how to submit to HAL? It's very easy. You have to create an account and to choose first a document type, journal article, preprint, conference paper, book, and so on, to upload the file if it's possible, and then fill in the set of metadata organized in different sections. So, of course, bibliographic fields with title, publication date, journals, and so on. Then authors and affiliations. It's a very important section, as we will see later, because affiliation is mandatory for at least one author. You see here the author and the affiliation. Some other fields are not mandatory. For example, funding section, related resources are not mandatory. You have to note, too, that a documentary, technical, and legal check is carried out before online publication. To search for a publication in HAL, you have access to a simple search and an advanced search within the interface, but you can also use the HAL API, which is documented with all available fields here. You can use the fields to search in the simple search. The search results list can be filtered and features some facets to help users refine their results, and actions are available for each deposit or selection of deposits when you are connected. What is a portal in HAL or a collection, and how are they built? So first, it's important to understand that HAL consists of a single centralized database with distributed portals. And portals are built based on the metadata describing the documents. For example, the HAL SSH portal is built on the presence of a discipline in the deposit, which is a mandatory field in HAL deposits. So if the discipline is humanities and social sciences, then the deposit will be visible in the HAL SSH portal. It's as simple as that. So metadata. It can also include the document type, for example, PhD thesis for the thesis portal. And the affiliation of the authors is widely used to build all institutional portals in HAL and collection. And the portals are for all French universities and research organizations. So when an author in a deposit is affiliated to an institution, the document is automatically visible in the portal of the institution. It can be a collection too. On the collection, it's the same process. So they are based on any metadata present in the deposits, such as the title of a conference, a project, a laboratory, and so on. So in France, the portals are open only to institutions such as universities, research organizations, and French funding bodies. So a deposit can therefore be visible in HAL and in several portals and collections, and the deposit is never duplicated. You have to understand that it's one deposit, and it's simply a matter of visibility. I'll provide some services to researchers to simplify the deposit process. First, by extracting metadata from PDF files and automatically filling in the deposit fields. And secondly, through a suggestion service, which offers researchers publications found in open access on other platforms, such as publishers' platform or other archives. This makes it easier for researchers to deposit all their publications. HAL allows researchers to create a CV within HAL that they can customize. It's a dynamic CV with its own URL where they can showcase their publications, the projects that funded them, etc. They can also include their researcher identifiers, responsibilities, and more. Finally, a dashboard allows the researchers to track their deposits, the open access rate of their publications, and their consultation statistics. Portals and collections allow institutions to create a specific website that they can customize as they want and choose the menus and widgets they want to use to display their publications. They can manage all their publications in their portals and their metadata of publications, thus improving the metadata quality. HAL is a valuable source for research analysis and management for institutions too. Dashboards are provided to institutions with a HAL portal, allowing them to obtain customized lists and visualizations of their research output hosted in HAL and monitor it. Let's have a focus on multilingualism in HAL. So first, the interface can be available in English or French, and the portal or collection websites can be set up in both languages. Similarly, researchers' CVs can also be set in both languages. Some metadata here you can see are repeatable and can be entered in different languages. For example, the title, the abstract, the keywords can be in different languages, and the full text language of the document itself is an important metadata because it determines the display of the document's title during searches or consultations. 70% of all publications are currently in English and 25% in French, but this proportion may vary depending on the portals used for the search. For example, in the Francophonie, Africa, and Indian Ocean portal, only 58% of publications are in English and 40% in French. However, what is important to understand is that HAL supports multilingualism, allowing researchers to submit texts in their native languages, thereby supporting local languages in research. This is particularly important in the social sciences and humanities disciplines, which often publish in languages other than English. As I mentioned previously, portal or collection websites can be set up in both languages, and the homepage and widget selection and menus may differ between versions to adapt to the context. Here are some collections of interest for African countries. So I couldn't find any specific collections of African research laboratories or teams, but the criteria for searching such collections are not straightforward if you don't know either the laboratory name or the research topic. So it's difficult to search. But I believe that HAL is not widely used by researchers from English-speaking African countries. I found only one institution with a collection, the University of Science and Technology of Masuku of Gabon here. The main portal with African researchers' products is the HAL Francophonie Afrique and Océan Indien portal. This portal was set up by the African and Malagasy Council for Higher Education, the Conference of Rectors of French-speaking universities in Africa and in the Indian Ocean, the Great Lakes Inter-University Network, and the University Agency of the Francophonie. And they have expressed the idea of having a specific open access portals for the publications of African researchers. This portal currently contains more than 19,000 full-text publications and nearly as many simple bibliographic references. The portal also allows the submission of master's thesis, which is not possible in HAL. A search in HAL using the terms Afrique with a C or Afrique with a Q shows that there are more than 78,000 full-text documents that match this criterion, without being able to determine whether they are research conducted at African universities or simply research on Africa. It should be noted that deposits containing the name of an African country without the word Africa would not appear in the search results. So these results are therefore highly underestimated. If we search for the number of African institutions of or laboratories listed in the author affiliations, we find that 263 institutions and 167 laboratories are from African countries. I have only considered the valid laboratories and institutions in HAL, meaning those that have been verified by someone. Otherwise, there are many more not validated. However, here too, we have to search country by country to find results because no institution belongs to Africa as a whole, but rather to a single African country. So we have to search country by country. So these are approximations, and there are probably many more articles in HAL relating to African research, either on subjects relating to Africa or written by researchers belonging to African institutions. Finally, HAL now functions as a hub that supports the full life cycle of research, with the possibility to link publications, data, and software, with the interoperability with publishing platforms, in particular Epicence, the diamond model of publishing platform developed by CCSD. And HAL is a valuable source now used for open access monitoring in France. I will now just focus on interoperability between French platforms for research outputs, so HAL for publications and Research DataGouv for data, and other platforms. So in the second French plan for open science, there is a focus on building an ecosystem that connects code, data, and publications. The plan is therefore very clear. A collaboration must be built between three key infrastructures for open science in France: HAL, Recherche DataGouv, and Software Heritage, to connect publications, data, and code. The question of creating connection between research objects began a few years ago for us during the European EOSC Pillar project. In this project, our task was to develop a proof of concept to link HAL publications with the French National Repository for Humanities and Social Sciences data, which is called NACALA. Following the EOSC Pillar project, we extended this work with the support of the Alliance project to include the National Repository Recherche DataGouv. Alliance, which stands for HAL Interoperability, Accessibility and Network-Centric Environment, is an equipment of excellence project funded by the French National Research Agency. So in February of this year, 2025, we extended this service, which links publications in HAL to datasets deposited in Recherche DataGouv and to software in Software Heritage. This is a real collaboration between French National Repository, so HAL, NACALA for social sciences and humanities data, Recherche DataGouv for other data, and Software Heritage for source code and software. These platforms are pillars of the French open science policy. So this new system is available within the HAL interface and can be accessed either during the deposit process or afterward for publications already online. So creating a relationship is easy. So you have to first choose a type of relationship. So to do this, we use the DataCite relationship typology. Not all types, but only the most common ones. Then you have to choose a repository with which you want to create a relationship. It can be HAL, NACALA, Recherche DataGouv, or Software Heritage, and other repositories. But if it's other repository, you have they have to deliver some DOIs. The object you want to create a relation with can be searched, and an input assistant is provided by using APIs from various partner repositories, APIs of NACALA, APIs of Recherche DataGouv, and so on. So identifiers are then validated to ensure the reliability of linked resources. Finally, whenever possible, we have implemented mechanisms to retrieve citations through partner repository APIs or OpenAlex. Here is a deposit in HAL. So in the file section here, we can see the principal file, the text. And at the end of this section, a widget exposes the related resources of this publication. Another important aspect was to display these relationships for researchers and exposing them in our various export formats for data harvesters. So the display has been designed to highlight these relationships, allowing readers to access all scientific outputs linked to a publication, as we saw previously. We have also ensured the inclusion of these relationships in the export formats, Dublin Core and XML-TEI for international harvesters such as OpenAir, Core, and others. And XML-TEI is the standardized format for HAL publications, HAL resources. Another feature is introduced is the preview of data on the publications landing page. So here you can see an HAL preview here of the object, but Recherche.gouv provide only an abstract of data. And here you have the preview of source code in software heritage. Once these relationships are created, it's essential to transfer them to partner repositories. So, for example, if a relationship is created in HAL between a publication and a dataset in NACALA or in Recherche.gouv, it can be beneficial to send this relationship to NACALA or Recherche.gouv to establish a reciprocal link. So for this, we have chosen the CURA Notify protocol because it includes a scenario specifically designed for such exchanges, announce relationship. You have it in the application via Notify CURA protocol. This feature will be available soon between HAL and NACALA and HAL and Recherche.gouv. We are also in contact with other repositories such as Easy Data and Software Heritage to implement this protocol. For now, it's possible to have a relationship between HAL and Software Heritage, but we don't send the relationship to Software Heritage now. Finally, regarding the relationship between publications and data, we plan to use external services such as School Explorer to automatically enrich HAL. Basically, School Explorer leverages data sources like Crossref and DataCite to create relationships, which are then exposed via APIs. So we will use these APIs to enhance the metadata of deposits already present in HAL. And the relationships created in HAL could be exposed via this service too. To finish, here are the key points which end up in HAL, which I will briefly cover. So sustainability and sovereignty. So we use French data centers for data hosting, backup, and long-term preservation. CCSD has a community-driven governance and a sustainable business model, and HAL is now developed as open source code. For quality, we have a documentary, technical, and legal check before put the publication online, and we respect the authorship of the document and the legal questions. When a researcher deposits a journal article, he can access to the publisher's policies regarding self-archiving. And we offer, as we saw, a rich set of metadata. And we help the deposit by metadata extraction from PDF files and name entity recognition by alignment with reference data and use of identifiers. For the interoperability, we have an interoperability with arXiv for physics, mathematics, information technologies disciplines, and with REPEC for economics. We work with Software Heritage and have an agreement with them to allow researchers to deposit software in HAL and then transfer it in Software Heritage. HAL is a source for ORCID accounts of researchers, and we use, it's a very important thing, international persistent identifiers and standardized formats. So PIDs like ORCID, RAW, and we are part of the French national strategy for identifiers. We use export formats like Dublin Core, XML, BibTeX, and so on. And we use open protocols, APIs, SWORD, Notify protocol. We are highly concerned by the visibility of HAL, and with using these standardized protocols, OI PMH to be harvested, APIs, We work for SEO optimization, and we are very well referenced by Google Scholar, for example, and harvested or used by a lot of other applications, and not only in France. So, in conclusion, I will say that HAL is a multidisciplinary, multilingual open archive for sharing published and unpublished research results. HAL is a French national open archive, so it primarily works with French institutions, which are stakeholders in its governance. However, the success of HAL demonstrates how an ambitious open science policy driven at the national level and supported by institutions can help build an ecosystem in favor of open science. National open science plans have structured the infrastructure offering in France to facilitate the opening of publications with HAL, data with Recherche.gouv, and codes and software with software heritage. The particularly strong support from the ministry, from CNRS and partner institutions has allowed us to consolidate HAL and make the infrastructure more sustainable while better addressing the needs of our users. However, HAL is still underdeveloped internationally for different reasons. First, it's an application developed at the CCSD, so we don't use DSpace or other software, and because we haven't initiated an international development policy, which wasn't our priority. But HAL is open to all research communities and to researchers affiliated to foreign academic institutions too. They can freely deposit files, create collections, and use HAL to disseminate their scientific work. Moreover, the interoperability of HAL with Epicence, a Diamond Open Access scientific publishing platform, could also be highly valuable. But attention, because not HAL is not the only platform connected with Epicence. We have other platforms connected. In conclusion, I will say that HAL provides researchers, communities in Africa and elsewhere with the opportunity to gain greater visibility for their research work, while also serving, and I think it's an important thing, as an example, demonstrating that a strong national policy and strong commitments are key factors in building a national open archive embraced by research communities. Thank you. I'm now ready to answer to your questions. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Bénédicte, for taking us through how HAL can be used and the activities of HAL. Thank you so much. That is very insightful and much appreciated. All right, so we'll be moving now straight into the Q&A session, where members of the audience are free to ask whatever questions they have surrounding our topic of discussion. So if you have any question you'd like to ask our guests or our speaker, please, you can do that by typing in the Q&A section of this meeting or unmuting your mic and asking out loud. So this is your opportunity to ask whatever question you might have. So I'll be looking into the Q&A section or the chat to see if there are questions. But before we get any from the members of the audience, let me just ask this one. So Bénédicte, you pointed out some things, during your presentation, but then here is another thing I would like to know. So the question I'm asking is, how do you see HAL contributing to the broader open science movement in Africa, and what future opportunities exist for collaboration? Because from your presentation, I discovered you said it was just Gambia, I think, that is making use of the platform as a country for now. So what are the future opportunities there for other African countries?
I think African researchers can use HAL. It's not a problem, and individual researchers or laboratories or institutions in HAL, they can ask to, they can deposit in HAL and they can ask to open a collection, for example. We saw that it's possible. And so yes, it's possible to do that, and because we offer a broad visibility for publications, but it's not, maybe we can have some other collaborations, because our data in HAL are very open for everybody. You can use or IPMH or APIs to recover the publications metadata. So I think maybe it could be useful for you, but I'm not. It depends on what you want to do. Is it is it research tool or something like that? What is the aim of these if you recover metadata, what's for?
Okay, thank you very much. So it depends on what these countries want to use it for.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
But how about setting up like sub repositories? How is that possible?
We don't have sub-repositories because it's not possible. It's only we have now. I don't know in the future, but now we only have one database, HAL, and it's not sub-repositories. It's it's only views of HAL products, publications in HAL. So it's views based on a metadata, but it's only one database, and it's not sub-repositories. We have opened a sub-repository for French government for administrative publications, because it's a law in France to have administrative publications now open for everybody. So they use a HAL platform for that, but it's not connected with HAL for scientific publications, because it's not the same public, the same aim, and so it's two databases. So technically it's possible, but it's a little bit difficult now. So we don't want to do that, because to maintain the two platforms, it's very, very difficult. We work closely with the French government for this platform, external to HAL, but it's a difficult thing. So we prefer not to open some sub-repositories. Yes, we have a system of portals and for research publications, and we don't want to open some sub-repositories. It's not a policy, but it's too difficult. Technically, it's a challenge to do that.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm still checking the chat to see if we have questions from members of the audience, but I think we have none so far. But let me still reiterate again, you can still ask your questions. Feel free to ask anything you would like to ask surrounding HAL, which is the French National Open Archive. So our guest is here, Bénédicte. She's always willing to answer whatever question you might have. So as we still wait for members of the audience to ask their questions, let me still ask this one, Bénédicte. Yep. So you made a mention of the fact that HAL is a multilingual archive, and then we saw like the percentage of texts in French and the percentage in English as well. We have around 70% in English and then 26 in French. So and I believe it also gives room to other languages as well. So what's or like, okay, let me put it this way, is HAL making it open for local languages as well, or do we just have like English and French as the key languages on the HAL platform?
I'm not sure to understand the question, but it's possible to deposit in any other languages. We have a list, of course, and we use Unicode, standard for the languages. So it's possible to have some languages not, I don't know exactly, but not Latin word for the language. So it's possible. But we know that the major publications and most in mathematics or physics or biology or something like that, it's English generally. French is generally very used by social and humanities, sciences. So they use their local languages, so French in France, and maybe other languages in other countries. And it's possible, but it's a little part of HAL. Yes, it's English or French generally. Yeah.
Okay, so what you're saying basically is we can also have like local African languages on the platform.
Yes, I think. You have to try, but maybe it's possible because I think with Unicode it's possible. Yes, because we can have some Russian languages, Arab languages, and so on. Because and Asian too. So to write, it's not exactly Latin characters. So I think it's possible. Yes. Maybe you have to try, and you can you can ask me if it's not good, and I will ask to IT in CCSD. Yes, because it's not so easy because we have how can I explain that? Page de garde. The first page of the document you can see in HAL is a page with HAL, of course, and the bibliographic reference of the document, and this reference is written with the language of the document, and sometimes it's difficult to have a good language. So it could be a technical problem, but I think it's possible. So because we have a lot yet, so you have to try and ask me and say and write to me to say if it's okay or not.
Okay, all right.
But I think the list of languages is standardized too. I don't know exactly which standard, but it's a standardized list, so
Okay.
if your country, your language is in the list, it's okay.
Oh, okay. So there's a standardized list. Okay, so that's good. All right. I see we don't have any questions. It seems what Benedict has explained to us today, it's really clear because I see there are no questions from members of the audience. So I see Ashley is here. Ashley, do you have any question or anyone at all? But if we don't have, I think.
Do you have a French audience here, attendees? French language?
we are supposed to have French attendees because, you know, Africa Archive serves the whole African continent. So, and
Well, it's
in
possible to
our
ask me some questions in French.
yeah, sure. So that's another option. So if you have any question you would like to ask, you can also ask in French as well. So that's okay. All right. Okay, let me just ask this final question, and then if there are none from the audience, I think we can just call it a wrap. So you took us through how researchers or institutions can, you know, make submissions on how. So I want to ask now, do you have like other policies or guidelines aside the process you mentioned? Are there other policies or guidelines in place to use how as regards you know, file submission, collection creation, and all of that?
I think just the first guideline is to deposit only research publications, because we have a lot of deposits sometimes. The first deposits are not, you know, we don't accept some deposit. I said that, but from master's thesis, for example, it's not permitted in HAL. So it's only with PhD thesis and after that you can deposit in HAL. And when you deposit a preprint for the first time, we have to verify some things. For example, we have to verify if you are working in a well-known a known laboratory, you know. So we verify that the affiliation is mandatory. So we verify that the laboratory exists for the first time. When you know, when it's your second deposit or third deposit, it's okay. But the first time we have to verify it. So you have to belong to a laboratory. Yes, it's the same in France. We have to, the researcher can't be someone we don't know. So he has to be affiliated, and we verify it the first time. So I think it's, and we verify that the rights are okay, you know. So if it's possible to deposit the file, because if it's publisher's version, it depends. Maybe it's not possible to deposit the file. So we verify that too. Yes, but we don't have guidelines, other guidelines. I think it's possible to deposit and to open a collection. You have to ask. We have a user support email, so you can email and ask to open a collection. You can't do that yourself, but you can ask to the support, to HAL support, and we are going to open the collection. It's not a problem. For portal, it's more difficult because portals are more complete for you to, you can manage more metadata, and you can modify some things, and so on. So it's only for institutions, and we have to sign something, to sign an agreement. And portals, there are some fees to open a portal, so it's only institutions. But collections could be, you know, we have collections for laboratories, for institutions who don't want to pay or to have a portal. And we have collections for communications, you know, for a conference, for a journal, for a theme, you know, a discipline, not a discipline, but I don't know, you are working, for example, you are working on an African theme, you can ask to open a collection on this theme, for example, with keywords or something like that. So the criterion could be keywords égale, I don't know, African botanist or something like that, and you can ask to open a collection on this. Yes, it's possible. Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for that clarity. So I think we are at the top of the hour now. So I think we just round up at this point. So thank you all for joining us today, members of the audience, and a big thank you to our guests. So we've been speaking to our speaker today, who is Bénédicte Kuntziger. And she has been speaking to us on the topic, how the French National Open Archive within the global open science ecosystem, an African perspective. So thank you all for joining us today. And we have so many other webinar sessions in line in the coming months. So we are going to update you on that. So be on the lookout on our, social media platforms, our email. You will get to, get the updates for our upcoming webinar sessions. So a big thank you to each and every one of you for joining us today, and a big thank you as well to our guest, Bénédicte Kuntziger. Thank you for joining us, and do have a lovely day.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thank you. And you can write to me if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.